Okay, I'll call the town board meeting of the town of Lake Mills to order December 9th, 2014 at 8 p.m. The notice was published in the Lake Mills Leader on December 3rd, 2014 and posted at the town hall, the North End Boat Launch, the cul-de-sac on Finch Brothers Road, and also on our website on November 30th. All present and accounted for. We took that out of the... So everyone is here. The adoption of the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt December's agenda.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Moving on to the approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of November 11th town board meeting as published.
Second?
Is there any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as published, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed, the same sign. Minutes are approved. Item number 4, the approval of the treasurer's report.
I make a motion to approve December's treasurer's report.
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions for our treasurer? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the treasurer's report, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, same sign. The treasurer, December 2014 treasurer's report is approved as printed. Number 5, approval of the general funding vouching.
I'll make a motion that we approve general fund vouching in the amount of $38,182.63.
Second?
Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the vouching, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Funding is approved. Again, looking at all these checks for election workers, I'd like to say thank you to each and every one of them. They really did a bang-up job. Got a good
Yes.
staff of people, some new people coming on. It's really nice. I'm sure that you could use some extra volunteers.
Sure. Always.
So if anybody wants to volunteer to work as an election worker, I'm sure Sarah would be more than happy to accept your application.
Yep. Well done, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you too, Sharon, I know it's been a really busy month for you, both of you, so thank you very much for stuffing tax bills, making our Christmas so merry. Thank you very much, ladies. Item number 6 are the reports. The police report, Bob.
This report for November, there was 522 miles of patrol, it was 54.25 hours. 11 hours was running radar, we handled 5 complaints. 2 hours for court time, 1 accident was investigated, 15 traffic citations, 10 traffic warnings, 2 assists motorists, 4 assists other departments, 3 follow-up investigation, and we had 2 warrant arrests. And also in this period of time, in the last couple of weeks, we did have some interviews that Hope was in on. There was 2 people that were interested in being on our boat patrol for the summer. One was an Andrew Schmidt, who works part-time for Walworth County on their boat patrol, lives in Watertown. And the other subject was a Heather Felder, who was a student at Madison College in the police academy and working to be a warden. And both parties seemed to be well qualified for the job as a boat patrol officers for the summer. And also in that interviewing, we had a process where there was a sergeant to be picked, and we ended up picking 2 sergeants. Ryan Walters was going to be for the boat patrol, and Kevin Miller for the road patrol. Also, we did some work with the Jefferson County Drug Task Force. We did have some arrests in the township. The task force did a very good job, along with our officers. One was out in Country Acres, where they got some heroin and some other stuff from there. And the other ones, there's juveniles involved, so there won't be nothing said about that. But there's still some ongoing investigations right now.
Who did you say the sergeant was for the boat patrol again?
Boat Patrol would be Ryan Walters.
Ryan Walters. We were kind of faced with a tough decision there. We had two nice candidates for our boat patrol job. And I think you misspoke, Bob. I think her name is Tabitha, not Heather. She doesn't have a lot of experience, but she seemed like a real willing candidate, and so we decided we would hire them both.
You're right, it
And
is
she's,
Tabitha.
she's gonna be graduated from the academy by time,
Yep.
Yes, she
she's
graduates in May.
May, and she's working towards, wants to be a warden.
sure, that's good. It'd be good.
So that was good. Both of their resumes were really nice, and
Yep.
we thought that it would be good if we had two officers. The second part of the interviewing was really tough because we had two of our currently serving part-time officers apply to be sergeants. And I guess what the decision really came down to is that Kevin really has no interest in our water patrol. And so both of them are highly qualified and were anxious to do the job, and so we just decided we would hire them both.
Sure.
And they will both be understudies to our new chief, Matt, and Matt will supervise their growth and development. I think we're basically looking at mentoring somebody to fill both of those spots. Looking to the future, thinking that maybe Scott won't be around, and it wasn't that big a deal. It seemed like a non-decision at the time, but I think after we did it, it really makes sense that we have
Sure.
one on boat patrol and
Yep.
one on road issues.
So Matt mentioned that those two then would be paid more.
Yes, I
So
think,
they'll be paid the same rate as the chief?
yes. And so,
And that's, but
We'll
not
need-
until June? Or when did they become sergeant, or the one that's boat patrol sergeant?
I suppose, yeah, I suppose. I think they probably start at the first of the year, though, because there'll be some supervisory details. And he'll have to work that into his budget, and then
Yeah,
next
we
year,
talked about that.
we'll look at the budget and look at how our pay is going. But I thought that was fair and equitable. I'm happy to have all four of those people under wraps and looking forward to the next voting season. Our officers have done a heck of a job in the last few days because we've had some strange things happen in the town. Basically, if you haven't been apprised of what's going on, we've had some people who are posing as solicitors. They were approached for permits. If you are a citizen of the town of Lake Mills and you are approached by a solicitor, you should ask for a permit. If they do not have a permit, they do not have permission to be soliciting in the town. And so our officers have been on that, and it's been very productive. So if you would, please try to tune into that website and
Actually,
do that neighborhood watch for each other.
That
It's
was
serious stuff,
reimbursement, and
because those
the
warrant
DNR.
arrests.
Two of our
that we're
warrants
talking
came
about-
out of them.
Yeah, and
And
another
so-
one turned into a felony
Yeah.
charge too. So it's not
Yeah.
just that they don't have a permit, it's that
So,
they're not, they
that was,
don't need to be around in
what,
the first place.
94?
So it's been really good. And so I really applaud our police
20,
department for the hard work that they've put in. And I
It's a good budget
thank the
office.
citizens for sharing information with us. Our phone lines are open. It's been very good. So thank you. And please tune into that website so that you know what's going on in the town. On to the Joint Rock Lake Committee report. Nobody here from Joint Rock Lake. I think they're kind of settling in under the ice.
They did ask me when they could come and do their annual report, so that might be next month.
Okay, good. Item C, Planning Commission report. Jim?
Yep, we only had one person come before us, two variances, and we have passed those on to the board. And Allison is here tonight to talk to us about that, so that's all we have going on.
All right, thank you. Any other committee reports?
I don't, fire commission meets Thursday night at 6:30, if you're interested.
All
It
right,
has been posted, by the way.
yes.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
because they will ask.
Item number 7, a period of public comment and questions for anything that is not on the agenda. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Hearing none. On to number 8, review of applications filed. Discussion and decision on a variance application filed by Allison Shanky for W8148 Elm Point Road. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you.
Why don't you give us a little synopsis, and then Jim can follow up with what the planning commission decided.
Okay, this last summer, we looked at, my folks.
Allison, excuse me, could you step up to the microphone?
Sure.
This makes it easier for everyone to hear.
Okay, this last summer, we looked at doing an expansion onto our property at West 8148 Elm Point Road, for the main purpose of adding a second bathroom. And when we spoke to the individual that drew up the plans, she said that you can't do that. If you want a second bathroom, you have to go straight up. And so we put in a plan to not only increase our bathroom downstairs, but to put on a second level. The increase in the bathroom downstairs is because the current bathroom we have has a shower in it with a 15-inch lip. And as we all get older, my father is turning 82 this year. He had fallen twice last year trying to get in and out of the shower and had to call paramedics to come help him up. And so this kind of precipitated the need for an expansion on the cottage to allow for a 36-inch shower for him to be able to not only get into the cottage, but be able to get a walker in and out of the rooms of the cottage. The rooms currently have, for the bathroom, a 24-inch door, and unfortunately a walker doesn't allow for that, so he kind of has an issue going in and out. So we're trying to allow for not only walker access, but going forward, possibly a wheelchair or a motorized chair for him to be able to use the property to its fullest. And so we went through everything as far as plans. We discussed it with an architect. She came back and said, you're going to have to get a variance to increase the size because you're at 31.7%. So at this point in time, my parents are residing in Florida at their home down there, and depending upon this, may be up for the summer or may not. So it's kind of a decision whether we can expand out that portion. The second floor, the reason we did it was basically to allow us for a second bathroom, to give him kind of access to the first solely for one basic reason. The man's in and out of the bathroom every 10 minutes. And so allowing him to have full access to that bathroom, we tried to go and put it next to it, and we were told that was too much of the space, so we were going to have to go up. So in the meantime, my sister said, well, if we're going to have to go up and put that expense, it's going to look really stupid if we go straight up and have a square. And so we worked with an architect to put on the floor and understand what it was going to go from there. So we're using the basic same area that we are for the cottage itself, and that'll also allow a 2-bedroom cottage to house our ever-expanding family. My sister has 2 children and a husband, and I have a partner, and trying to fit all of us into a 2-bedroom cottage is a little bit of a stretch by any means. So we're trying to allow for the house to be not only improved upon, but also turn into a possible year-round home if my sister chooses to move back here, which is a good possibility.
And what did the planning commission have to say, Jim?
Okay, well, after some discussion with our friends down in Jefferson County, we sort of uncovered, I will say, sort of a housekeeping issue. Back in 1980 or so, the garage at that time was freestanding, and they joined the house and the garage. And what happened was, if you look on the plat, The setback for the garage is 4 feet and 3.8 feet. Minimum for an attached garage on this size lot is 5 feet. So we're actually doing two variances. First is this housekeeping variance. They have had this in place since 1980. Technically, we could say that they've been in violation. I think that this was just it got missed when the garage got attached, and so we're doing housekeeping to put onto records that we are saying that less than a 5-foot setback is okay. Then the second variance, and the Plan Commission looked at that and approved that to come to the board. The second variance is to exceed the 30% lot coverage. And this is kind of actually why Allison first came. Kind of didn't realize this other sort of issue was in there and underlined. So with this small addition to the main floor that she was talking about, basically what happens is the lot coverage goes to 31.7%. The limit for this size lot, again, is 30%. So what we would be doing is allowing a variance to allow for that 31.7. The Plan Commission approved that also to come to the board.
All right. Any other discussion? Or questions for Allison or Jim?
So that's what this one here is, the garage for the Jefferson, the permit for the 1980 on the application, so that
Yeah.
it's nice and legal and all that.
Exactly,
But otherwise.
right. So that's the 5-foot setback.
Right? Yeah.
And then the other one is the 31.7.
Which, I don't know, looking at it, I think it's just fine, because actually, you know, it's just, this kind of adds to the dimension of the house. You're not getting any closer to the street or anything else, so, I mean,
All right, so we need two motions.
Correct.
So the first one, Jim, you're going to
I will make a motion that we approve the petition for variance for, to allow for less than a 5-foot setback for the lot at, excuse me,
8148.
thank you, Elm Point Road.
I'll second.
All right, is there any discussion on this setback?
The only thing is the permit was taken out in 1980, and then the connection from the garage to the house was made, so it's just housekeeping.
All the paperwork was done. This
Yep.
is purely housekeeping.
You know,
Yeah.
All right. All in favor of approving the first variance, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, the same sign. This variance is granted. Well, I guess you have to go to the county first, right? Don't they have to?
Board of Adjustment.
Board of Adjustment. All right, the second variance,
I will make a motion that we approve the petition for variance to exceed 30% lot coverage to 31.7% lot coverage for the house W 8148 Elm Point Road.
second.
all right, is there any discussion?
I think it meets all the hardship criteria, so I think it should be pretty easy for him.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor of approving the second variance, please say aye.
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 And all opposed, the same sign. Your variances are granted, go forward and make tracks.
Okay.
How many years have your parents lived there?
My grandfather and my father built it starting in 1947.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got the original plat from 1898, when it was all one, and it was owned by Strasburg's. So,
Be interesting to look at sometime. Thank
ask
you.
my mom, she's got it in a drawer, you know, she doesn't throw anything out.
Thank you. Will you greet them in Florida for us?
I will, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck with the construction.
Thank you. Anybody want a signature on all of
No, you can't. You don't live here. You don't live here yet.
Are you gonna visit, are you gonna visit your parents?
Dave.
Thank you, Allison. Everything's cool. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Merry Christmas.
All right, item number 9 is old business. Further discussion on raising the revenue to increase the highway construction budget.
All right,
Oh,
our
boy.
favorite subject.
Well, I think it's really good. I did go to the County Towns Association meeting, and I did sit down next to the town chairman of the town of Oakland.
Oh, Gene.
And I said to Gene, you know, what do you think? What do you think? And he said, well, we just did it.
Yep, I know they did. So did Aston.
And that gentleman was standing there talking to us too.
Gene
Yeah, Capsner and
and Olson.
Olson.
Both of them Genes.
No, who's the other supervisor?
Oh, Dave Cool. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He just took over for.
Yep.
Yep,
Anyway, they're
better
all
ones.
doing it. The only way you can exceed the levy limits is by borrowing.
And technically, you're not exceeding the levy limits. You are paying down debt.
And so what Gene told me was that they raised their levy, or they raised their special assessment. And they raised it almost 7% on every tax bill. And nobody said a word.
And when did they do that?
This year.
They've
Both
been
of them
doing
did
it for
this
3 years.
Okay, because last year, wasn't it, when we went to that training, they said you could not raise a special assessment anymore. Starting
They were talking
last year. Right. You could keep it the same, but you couldn't
That's
increase it.
That's the levy by state.
No, it was a special assessment.
So what Sarah and I have done since then, that was the 2nd of December, I went to that meeting.
Yep.
Sarah's made contact with the clerk in the town of Oakland,
Oakland?
and we thought we'd maybe sit down with them,
Okay, sounds good.
talk to them.
Because we could still do this in 2015.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sarah,
Yep.
with what you understand then, or what you were told, does that not allow us to do this?
I'm saying we need to ask, and I know where to
Okay,
ask, but.
So, and you're gonna touch base with the Towns Association?
The Department of Revenue, actually.
Okay.
It seems to be the tool that everyone else is using to raise
Well, because
some.
I remember, I mean, there was a lot of question that day, and so and people, well, what about our garbage, and what about this, and it was special assessment, I know that. But there's two different things, there's a special assessment and a special charge, so maybe that's the distinction.
Okay.
So we need to do a little more work on that, figure
Yeah.
out how that is. But we got some time to do that.
We
and,
do. And actually, what we could do is rather than borrowing the money this year, which we can't, there's not enough time to do it, anyway, and then pay it off in a year from now, we actually can do the work, borrow the money, say in November, and then we'd only actually be paying maybe 1 month of interest because you could pay it back by the 1st of January. So it's a better way to do it.
So that's kind of what we're looking at.
I think the key to this whole thing is that people have to understand that we don't have any funds to be able to address our deteriorating roads. That's just the bottom line. And so we have to do something, or have people accept that, you know, this is, the roads are gonna just keep getting worse and worse and worse because plowing budgets are up, all of the other maintenance on the roads is up. We use up our highway budget every single year, especially
For
when we have.
Band-Aids.
That's a good point, Dave, absolutely.
And it's not only the towns that are having to do that, because the state shared revenue is less than what it used to be. And the state is looking at a lot of different techniques to try to generate funds, whether it's going to be increased gas tax. Our federal roads are looking for ways to increase income. I think, you know, they're talking registrations, they're talking gas tax, they're talking on these hybrid cars that aren't using much gasoline, and they're still using our roads. So there's going to be a lot of changes. So it's not just the town. And the real sad part about the whole thing is a lot of these roads were all set up. The interstate was set up, you know, back in Roosevelt and Hoover days. And, we should have been putting money away. All we've done is burn up our infrastructure, and here we sit.
One of the other things that I think is going to be key to this whole thing is, and you've touched on this before, is we are going to need to really go in and do a good assessment of what we believe is, I will say, the right level for maintenance and or rebuild, right? Because there are many, many different options, and those different options obviously cost, varying amounts depending on what we do. And for our town roads and the amount of traffic that they see, the weight and that type of thing, there has got to be sort of, I'll say, a sweet spot of whether we grind, pulverize, add additional rock, overlay, whatever that combination might be, and the quantities of that. Because if we can be really successful with finding that sweet spot, we'll be able to do more mileage for the given dollar.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the keys.
Something else that came up that evening that I thought was very interesting and that we need to pursue is the rotation that we've had on our trip grants. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where every year, there's a group of towns that come up to be able to use the trip money that's there and the money that we are awarded in highway dollars. It seems that has been administered in a rotational way,
Right.
and it is supposed to be administered on a needs basis. And so
Oh.
towns are going to be applying, and towns are going to be evaluating and competing with each other, and there won't be that rotation anymore. I guess this is something that the DOT and the state statutes have governed, but it hasn't really been implemented. It's been implemented in a different way. And it just so happens that I sit on that highway committee.
But see, on the Trip D, the way it has always worked in the past, there's, if I remember correctly, it's 4 townships. Every so many years on the rotation, then those 4 townships then go for the need, and then you would get accepted, which we were accepted in 2000 and...
Actually, it should be done on a need basis every year, so all towns are competing on the same, each town can apply,
Right.
but it's up to that committee to decide where the need really lies. It might lie in the town of Lake Mills 2 years running, instead of that 4-year rotation. So there's
Or
gonna-
it could be in other towns,
Yeah.
and
you
we
will
get
nothing.
skunked
Yeah.
year after year.
See, that's
after
what I'm
year.
thinking.
Right,
is at least
exactly.
we have increased our odds if it stays the way it is.
Well, it's not gonna stay the way it is, although all those monies are already decided on for 2015. And so it'll be a new process, and that'll be in the implementation this coming year.
I think the other thing that we have discussed a little bit is getting an understanding, as well as sort of finding that sweet spot that I talked about for, how do we get the most mileage, most bang for our buck type of thing. I think we also need to understand what that dollar amount that we would want to go for, what that means to the taxpayers.
I've
you know.
got that for you.
Sweet.
Oh.
Don't even project it.
Oh, here's our...
Oh, pies.
Pies.
Oh,
Right.
oh.
So excited. Okay,
Wait a minute, mine's apple.
so I took my own personal tax bill from last year, and I took all the calculations I did for the county this last month, and I figured out this whole darn thing out. Okay, so what you're looking at here is total assessed value. We know that plays into it. Essentially what happens with a tax bill, now how your tax bill gets calculated, is all of these numbers here on tax collected for state, county, town, school districts, those are your buckets. So if you're coming up to the buckets with your $1,000, I'm gonna tell you exactly how much money you're gonna put in each bucket,
Okay.
okay? So this is the total that we collect for the entire town. The town collects this much from all of the residents, okay?
Okay,
And the way that they determine how much you're going to pay of that piece is with what your property is assessed at compared to what the entire town's property is assessed at, okay? Make sense so far?
Yep.
Okay, so that, this number here is derived with your piece divided by the total piece. That gives you
Okay.
your portion of this state, for this example, of this state part, total. This is the piece you're paying, contributing, okay? Okay, so, just as a side note here, notice this is how much we're collecting from everybody. This is how much we pay out to everybody else.
right.
We get to keep a whopping 7.65% of what we collect. Right? Anyway, I find that interesting. So down below here then, all I did was take each of these, my portion of each of those assessment, or of each of these buckets, divided by the total, gives me these percentages here, and applied that to $1,000. So I'm gonna take $9.84 and plunk that in the state bucket, and $2.77 in the county, and so on and so on. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So then you get your pie chart. That's where your tax dollars go. 52% to the school district. Now, that's Lake Mills. Cambridge, I'm not sure exactly how much of our assessed value is in Cambridge School District versus Lake Mills. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I don't know where to find it. That's the bulk of it, and then the county gets the next big chunk, and that's how it's divided up. I don't know how much detail you want me to say on here.
Oh, that's nice work,
Okay,
Sarah.
so
It
then
is.
the next piece is what if we added 100,000?
Because that's what we had talked about, was
That was
borrowing
the example.
100,000 for road
That
repair.
was
Yep.
Dave's example, right?
Yep.
So I just went through and did the exact same calculation, adding a separate line item for roads on the tax bill. Would add to, for mine, at $352,000 roughly, is $125. And if down below is that adds, it's $20.92
Per thousand,
thousand of tax.
right,
Okay,
okay.
and
So
what we're seeing off to
that's
the,
gonna be, I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I'm just, well, the only thing I was gonna say is that's what we'd have to present to the electors is about $21 per $1,000 of tax value is what.
No, of tax on your tax bill.
Right.
There's a
Right.
difference between how much, up here in the yellow is what it is per 1,000 of assessed value.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
different.
So the thing that strikes me, scroll up a little bit, Sarah. We were talking earlier that the town of, I believe, Oakland, 7% is what they did to try and start mitigating road issues. And if you look at what you have here, that is only 2%,
Right,
right?
That's true.
So part of my thought on this whole thing is, again, what is the right amount? We know that we have several roads like London and others. What is the mileage? What is the amount that we could borrow to do that whole stretch or some whole stretch of road at the right repaving, maintenance, improvement level? You know, how can we sort of ladder that appropriately so that we are not overburdening the taxpayers, but we can also not have to do one portion of a road and then the next year do another portion of that road and kind of, in my mind, take forever to get anything done.
I hear what you're saying, Jim, and that, you know.
But it's a balance.
I guess I was looking at, you know, is if you could do a mile for $100,000 and we could do a mile a year for 38 years, we would have all the town's roads repaired. And obviously, in 38 years, you're
Just
going
start
back.
all over again.
Yeah, or you're using your maintenance money to come back in and do chip seals and all that stuff. The only thing is I guess my thought was is you're trying to get people to volunteer to help pay for this thing, but I didn't want it to hurt too much.
No, and that's the
You
sweet
know,
spot,
and
absolutely.
I'd like to ask for $200,000.
Yeah,
You know, maybe we could do all London Road for $200,000, and
That's
we
what
could
I'm
pay
getting
for
to.
it in 1 year.
Yep.
Plus, we'd still have $50,000 or $60,000 for maintenance on the other roads. $200,000 might be, well, you're
now
gonna
that
be
would bump it to
doubling
that would be 4%.
4%, and for Sarah, that would be, you know, $250.
And I'm gonna notice 125.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm gonna know it's there, so
Right.
we have to.
So I don't know, I mean, I'd like to, you know, go for all we can get too, but,
Okay, one day at a
it's
time.
not gonna be a popular thing to begin with, so. Sarah, this is great, thank you.
Very nice, Sarah, thank you. Well, I think we should sit down with Oakland. I want you in on that.
Yep,
And we'll do that this winter and talk a little bit about how we're gonna proceed. And of course, we need to find out if this is a device that we can legally use, so.
and I think then we should have, you know, obviously that money would be used strictly for road reconstruction.
Yes.
And unless a site would escalate in its deterioration, I would still stick with London Road, Newville Road, Mud Lake Road, Conservation Road.
But again,
You got a big list.
all of those roads,
Are more
at
than a
least-
mile.
Are more than a mile, but more importantly, they see different traffic loads. Conservation Road is significantly different than, say, Newville or London.
Or even
Right.
Mud Lake.
Right, and so again, I think it's a combination of trying to find what we feel is the most appropriate, gonna give us the best bang for our buck.
Right.
Longest longevity, et cetera.
London Road is used heavily for people cutting over to Highway 12 bypassing Cambridge. Newville Cemetery, you know, they're all used for the back route to Waterloo.
Yeah,
So,
We have accurate highway records and our Pacer ratings are up to date, so we should have no problem discerning which roads need to be first and which need to be second. Shouldn't
Yep.
be a problem. All right, we're gonna think about that in the year 2015 and go forward from there.
and we need to put that on the agenda every month so we can keep kicking it around so you don't forget.
I'm not gonna forget. Don't be bringing it up in November, though. All right. There's nobody that wants to do that more than I do. Item number 10, new business. A, the discussion and decision on approving the 2015 town budget.
I'll make a motion to approve 2015 town budget.
second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the town budget, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, same sign. Item B, the discussion on reviewing Town Ordinance 2-5, the regulation of direct sellers and related applications.
Okay, I've got one piece here that I found it was in the wrong file. You guys are gonna need that. This came up because of what we touched on in the police report with the solicitors. Matt Miller got these documents from the city of Watertown, and he suggests that we review our documentation for these solicitors and sort of pattern it after Watertown. And this brochure that I gave you tonight
Appears to be from the state.
Wisconsin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But what he highlighted, and it didn't come through on the printer, I'm sorry, is what is a traveling sales crew? You see that column with?
Yep.
Okay, the first part there, the first sentence, a traveling sales crew is 2 or more individuals, it defines it. He's looking for that in our paperwork. And then the other piece that he highlighted is in the next paragraph, the Wisconsin statute section 103.34 of Melinda's law took effect on April 1st, 2010. Now, our application, I looked back and it was last updated in 2012.
Right.
So we should be okay there, but he specifically mentioned that law.
Right, you can do a little studying on this.
So, yeah, I don't know who.
Okay, so do we need to amend the ordinance? Or is this just supposed to be part of the application so that any applicants, I'm assuming that it needs to be in the ordinance.
I think
I
we
had
need
the same
to,
question today when I was digging, when I found
I think we
this,
need
and,
to
yeah,
amend
I
the
think we should look at
ordinance.
that too.
And I think if we have any fees involved in that, we have to move those to our fee schedule. So would you, Jim, do that for us? Look at how you formatted that so that we can be working on it as a group?
Yep,
We can work on that next month.
I'll send it to you.
thank you.
If you would format that for us, then we can look that over and bring our suggestions next month and take a look at that direct seller's permit. I think it's actually fortunate that some of these things have happened in the last few months.
Only because they didn't turn into anything other than
Yes.
those people being arrested. It could have been a lot worse.
So then what I will do is, as typical, depending on the format that it is in, because we have done this recently, this may actually be in the new format. I will make sure that we have this appropriate verbiage in an appropriate spot or spots within the ordinance and show those as additions, corrections, changes, per the way that I've done that before.
Yes, and then we can work on it.
Should I look at the application then? If he looks at the ordinance? and
Yes,
the
would you?
application?
That'd be good.
Okay.
And make sure that those two reflect, and then we can work on it at our next meeting. We don't have a lot of pressure in January.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Item C, discussion and decision on the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Lake Mills regarding Clean Boats, Clean Waters. You have that in your packet. The city felt the need to do a intergovernmental agreement, which says that we are going to be responsible for administering the program for the city and the town, and that the city will turn their grant money over to us. This is going to be good for a period of 1 year. And they are requesting our signature, and I would like to make a motion to accept the intergovernmental agreement with the city regarding the Clean Boats, Clean Waters grant.
Second it.
One thing I noticed on here, under number 4, the period is for 1 year, but this agreement shall automatically renew for additional grant years unless either party terminates. So we need to just be aware that if we decide not to move forward with this or whatever, they may choose not to move forward with it, but it is showing that it will automatically renew. So we have to
The
formally.
grant may not even be available in coming years.
There you go. Good point.
No, your chances of getting the grant, you think are gonna be pretty good because.
We already have
got it.
received approval of the
Yeah.
grant.
Oh, okay.
This,
All right.
apparently this grant is one that you apply for it, you get it because
Sure.
they
Oh,
feel
okay.
it is so important
Okay.
to keep invasive species out.
Sure.
It does give us a little more administrative work, but not
Yeah,
significant.
you're already doing it, so it's.
Not significant.
Not huge.
So all in favor of approving the intergovernmental agreement on Clean Boats, Clean Waters, please say aye.
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 All opposed, the same sign. The agreement is accepted. I'm gonna sign it, and I'm gonna give it to you, Sarah.
I've got it, yep, ready to go.
You don't want mine.
No.
All right. Item D, discussion and decision on the amendment to Town Ordinance 5-24, special events to reference town schedule of municipal fees, deposits, and bonds. Here's
Yeah.
another one we need to clean
I
up.
didn't have it ready, but I did just go through it today and it was really fast, so. You can have that.
I feel like I lived with this thing.
Well, ignore this, I just noticed this first page has some page numbers that are in red, that must have been from the last time around that didn't get accepted, so. But the changes are on page 3 here. And actually,
They are fees.
well, everywhere that it said fee, I highlighted. The only place that I added the as defined in the town of Lake Mills fees, bonds, and deposits document is in this first spot, so.
So the changes are minor.
Well, that's the only thing that we were gonna change,
Right.
just referencing the
Right.
deposit schedule, because I realized it wasn't there. But if you wanna look at it and do this next month, it's not a big, there's no,
Well, you didn't
I
change
would,
anything.
I would make a motion that we accept the changes as printed.
Yeah, I'd second
so
it.
just one spot, that's good?
Yep.
Okay, great.
All in favor? Please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. All right,
We'll go to public,
Sarah, how did working with this, were there any issues with the format or
this
anything
one
like
you
that?
had already.
I know, but even so, you know, we had talked and there's
Right.
sort of some funny things with the way that the formatting works and it's not always so straightforward. That's why I was asking.
I did not have any problems
You
with
didn't-
this.
Okay, great, wonderful.
okay. Board expense sheet approval.
I have one, I had to go to the county a lot with the election, so.
All right,
Got a little mileage in there. They, I don't know if you guys knew that they had discovered an issue with the ballot boxes, I guess, this last round. So we had to take all of the equipment now back over to Jefferson County again, so that they can swap out all the ballot boxes. And the cords are gonna be attached inside now, so everything had to go.
Jeez.
Yeah, but apparently the issue was bad enough somewhere that they didn't want
And
anybody
needed to
else to
fix
have
it.
to deal with it.
yeah. So thanks again for doing that. Getting it loaded up. Correspondence.
Okay. I didn't know where else this fit. We got something from the Town Web Design, which is our website host, and they are increasing their rates, and I don't know if we really have a contract with them per se, or if we just pay the bill, or we decide to go elsewhere, right?
I believe that as a web host, we have a ongoing one-year contract.
Okay.
That's what I understood, and it is one of those that it just kind of renews if everybody's happy.
It says that they have not increased their price in 7 years, so we probably just always continue. They're increasing it $100 a year. Goes from 300 to 400. So I don't know if we need to discuss that in January, or it's a letter from the owner telling us that the prices are going up.
Have you had issues with the website?
No, I like it. It's easy enough for me, and I think it's a more valuable piece of communication than
Much more valuable.
the newspaper, or, you know, that's really the other, or the posting boxes personally.
Right, because as part of this, they also offer support, correct?
Yes, then they stress that,
Right.
remind you that it's free technical support and ongoing training for you and your office whenever you need any help. And I have had issues, and you know, they get right back to me, and
They've been really good.
The
They are.
short little time that I had to deal with it in transition between you and Robin, I found them very, very easy to work with and everything. I had no issues.
I agree. So,
Why don't we approve that in at our January meeting?
okay.
So we'll put that on there.
All right. And then I had the correspondence from Jane Malishki at the Department of Natural Resources, telling us that we will, in fact, be getting a 2015 Clean Boats, Clean Waters grant. She also said that she looked at our data from 2014, and she was very impressed, and they're very happy with us, so there's, continue on. Note from Charter stating that our customers in our area are going to be getting a price adjustment, and this is their due diligence, telling us that they are sending this out to the customers, but since we're in the franchise fee program, they had tell us also. And then, and then I got something from Mo Hansen, who used to be the clerk for the city of Watertown, but this says that he is the administrative treasurer for the village of Cambridge. And it references Bob Saloff and the Cambridge Community Library. And apparently what the Cambridge Community Library fundraising group is now doing is going to their community foundation, the Cambridge Foundation, and asking them to fill the void of $150,000 that they now have to complete the library project. But they're going to all of the municipalities in the area asking for a resolution in support of their application to the community foundation. They don't want money, it says. They want us to back them in their application. And it's complete with a sample resolution. So I have it in correspondence, and then Bob sent me the email today, and I noticed that it says that their application has to be submitted in December. So we did receive this after the agenda was published. I don't know what to do with it at this point.
You're gonna share it with me and you're gonna forget about it.
All right.
And then I'll talk to
Do you
Bob
want the
Thursday,
resolution,
because
or
he'll
do
be
you want
there.
the whole thing?
I like to see the whole thing.
Okay, you take that.
Okay,
That
thanks.
concludes correspondence. Very short month for that piece.
I think you're throwing more of it away. You look at that.
Hey.
All right. First of all, I want to say thank you to you for keeping us on cable TV all year long. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And thanks to you, Sharon, again, for all the work you did on the tax bills and making everybody's Christmas merry. Meeting schedule, January 6th, Planning Commission, 8 p.m. Town Hall, January 6th, Joint Rock Lake, 6 p.m. City Hall. January 6th is the deadline to submit campaign registration statements, nomination papers, and declarations of candidacy to our clerk by 5 p.m. And January 13th is the regular town board meeting at 8 p.m. at the town hall. Looking forward, I believe that the County Towns Association will meet on February 24th. They decided not to meet in January. They'll be meeting on the 24th of February, so they'll be letting us know. And I don't remember where we're going. Is there anything else?
The only other thing is, I believe it is Thursday, the 11th, at 9 o'clock in the...
January 11th?
Yes. I know, not, December 11th. In the UW Extension Office, there's going to be a meeting on animal husbandry and the
Implements
roads.
of animal husbandry.
Yeah.
Well, they were asking us at the district meeting to approve an option, and they need this approved by January. I never knew about it. So they're gonna be discussing it, and if we need to make that resolution, that we go with an option. There are 4 or 5 options on the table, and what they're trying to suggest is that the towns hold local control and that they make the option as controlling as it can be in your own town, because what it does is govern those implements of animal husbandry that are huge and largely overweight, and in the permit, it's a statewide permit, it's a no-fee permit. At least then you know what vehicles are traveling your roads because they have to put down their destination.
Right.
So there hasn't been a lot of information on that. I believe the county has already adopted their option, County Highway Department, and I believe that there are several towns that have followed
Yeah.
suit. So we should be looking at that a little more.
One thing to note, Hope, you did say January 6th is Plan Commission. Again, if there are no applications filed, Plan Commission will not meet.
All right.
But it will be posted if we are going to meet.
Should I have that listed on here somehow, if needed, or if an agenda is?
No, I don't think you
something
need to say that. Just
No,
as a
because
fun-
remember, the whole,
Scheduled until canceled?
it is, if we are going to meet, we have to post. But there is no requirement that we have to meet.
Right.
Right.
So at the point where we have applications, we post, everything is fine.
Yeah.
People understand.
Yep, okay,
Yep.
all right.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.